So we finally put together Proloquo2Go and have given it to my kid. So a little bit of background information. This is the third AAC app that we're adding to my son's talker. He has had Speak for Yourself since he was 2 years old and he just turned 5. And then Pictello for the past year or so. He's a Gestalt language processor and he's like stage 3+. We can't measure his stages because he doesn't have reliable access to speech, but he's definitely past stage 3 in some spot. And he has been using Speak for Yourself primarily just using the phrases that we've saved in Hold That Thought. We have like 150 phrases or so, and that is primarily how he uses it. He uses Pictello in a variety of ways, but one of the things he had been doing was using Pictello to teach himself speech. And so that's what led to Proloquo2Go, because with Pictello, we just have the sentences that we've saved. And I was like, he might want to put together his own sentences with recorded audio, since that's what he seems to like, to teach himself how to say those sentences. And you can't do that on Speak for Yourself. Proloquo2Go is the only app where if I have multiple buttons with recorded audio, I can put those buttons together and then press the sentence strip and it'll say all of the recorded audio, although with a big gap between each phrase. So other ones can do recorded audio, but you can only say that one button's recorded audio. You can't like mitigate the recorded audio together. And then the one other thing to know about him is that he's not in school and we unschool him, which means it's very self-directed learning. And we live in New York. So what that really means is that most of his days are going out and about in the city and taking the bus and the subway and having various adventures. So for Proloquo2Go, what we felt is that the way that the words were categorized were like based on the definitions of words, like the parts of the word or like the single word. They were very based on single words. And our kid, like many GLPs, seems to have a more contextual relationship to language. So the feeling, tone, the environment, what's happening. And so we wanted to organize things for him for now in a way that gives him access to the phrases and words based on like the context or the feeling or like what that sort of relates to, I guess, how things are grouped together in a different way than definitions. But also being able to do it in a way where he can easily access the folders as Proloquo2Go have them set up so that he can sort of progress if that is how he ends up using this app. And I will say that he's used no app the way that we thought he would. So we're very clear that all we can do is put together this app and give it to him. And he could end up using this to like make music for all we know. Like this could just be his DJ tool. I have no idea what he's going to end up doing. And we're going to follow his lead. But this is how we set it up. So for example, if you go to the going folder, you can see that we have on one side, we have the word let's, and hold on one second. Okay, on one side we have the word let's, and then in green we have sort of, and a little bit in pink, purple, we have like different mitigations with the word let's, and we have both partial gestalts and full gestalts and single words. So we've got
let's go.
That's my recorded audio.
Let's go out. Let's keep going.
So we've got some buttons like that. And then in purple, we have things more related to actually going and leaving, like leaving the house, as well as trying things out. And then in red, we have sort of the negation kinds of words. And then in blue, you can see we have a lot of places, including gestalts that have to do with places.
Let's go home. Beach.
So some are recorded audio, beach was the computer. But then from there, we've got places at the bottom. So now we can go back to places, or we can go to the Proloquo2Go folder places and explore places sort of the way that Proloquo2Go is set up. You'll see, or I don't know if you noticed, that we have manually like hidden buttons that don't make sense for him. We do believe in robust AAC. In our experience, it has been really important at the beginning for Alu to have space. Too many buttons tend to stop him from getting into the device, period. So I actually don't remember, but I believe that we've hidden a few that like literally are not places that make sense to us at the moment. And then once he uses this, we will very quickly open everything. And that's what we did for Speak for Yourself. And so in green, you can see vehicles. And then again, you can go to vehicles here to get more vehicles. And then the stuff at the top is pretty consistent with stuff. One of the, I should say, I read I think it was Kate Ahern had a blog post about the Franken AAC. And I was like, oh my God, I hope we don't have a Franken AAC. Our speech therapist was very involved in in every little decision that was made as well. And then one of the things I got from that blog post is at least make sure we have consistent rules about what we're doing and why, so that we are remembering that as well. But one thing that she had encouraged us to do is, as much as possible for motor planning, try to make sure that everything's in the same place. So I think we mostly nailed it, although that's very hard with Proloquo2Go. So if you look at the places and vehicles folder, they're in, places is right there. And then is in the same spot. And I think, now I don't even know where vehicles are, but somewhere else there's a vehicles folder and it's in the same spot. So that's sort of like going as an example. We have I need. We made this folder that has to do with just all sorts of needs that he might have, or this might have been already a folder, but we added things. So again, you can see that we have a lot of gestalts.
Pretty cool, huh?
So that's Daniel's voice, and then we also have objects.
Blue P.
Like single words, I guess. There's not a lot of single words here.
Ready.
Yep. We did mess, I think, a little bit with our SLP and another SLP's suggestion with some of the templates, and we just made the templates slightly smaller. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think the templates in Proloquo2Go give you very little room for the actual words. So you might notice that the words sort of around the top and sides, there's less than in the standard Proloquo2Go template, but not much. We didn't mess with it a ton, but we did a little bit, and again, very carefully with the help of a speech therapist who knows what she's doing. So under help, we've got, green is sick related things. So the colors are not, even with Speak for Yourself, the research that we read and our SLP shared with us is that there isn't much showing that the colors being word tenses or whatever are very important for kids, especially when they start really young. And they're more for the adults, which I've definitely found that Alu is very good at finding buttons and I'm very bad at it. So we're not color coding based on any part of word in these folders. In the rest of Proloquo, we do have the automated color based on the kind of word setup. But in these folders that we've really made sort of the, my speech therapist calls that, I think, a stage 2 folder. We color coded just based on groupings. So it's not like green has any meaning. It's just this is the area where it's sick related things. Red is the area where it's no related things, that kind of thing. And then again, you can see in the bottom here, I'm linking 2 folders. So it's really important that we're constantly linking to the Proloquo2Go folders. So we've got body, we've got something's wrong, personal care. So we're really trying to be here are some main gestalts and sentences that relate to you at this moment, but here's where you get to everything. So the idea being that as he gets older, and obviously more stuff is meaningful, he's going to explore these folders. He's very good at navigating technology, better than me. And then those stage 2 folders might then become irrelevant, because by then he might be at a point where he's just using it. Or again, he might just use Proloquo2Go in totally different ways. So places, listening is a big one because music is so important to him. So we have this listening folder where we can add in a lot of gestalts from his songs. He really likes numbers and letters, so although there is a keyboard, I sort of recreated numbers and letters over here so that he can get to it easily. And then under food is an example where you can see the gestalts we've added. Well, so some of them were already there, like when are we eating, which is not a Gestalt, he says, but I kept it anyway. But come eat food is ours. Let's come eat food.
Let's.
Come eat food.
So now we've got this like computer voice and recorded voice.
Let's.
Come eat food.
With a really annoying gap that we didn't realize the gap was so long. But, so we've got...
Come eat food. Mango. Come eat food. Mango.
The gap seems smaller to me when it's multiple recorded buttons together, but we're not sure. And then versus when you have a computer voice and then recorded. But you might be like, why do you have these arbitrary recorded buttons? But an example is in Pictello, the very first Pictello that we were like, oh, he's just teaching himself speech, was a Pictello that we made with the song I Like to Eat. Like, I like to eat apples and bananas. But instead of the vowel thing, we just do a page that says, I like to eat puffins. I like to eat Cheerios. And we did this in Pictello because we wanted Alu to be able to use Pictello to communicate to us what he wants to eat. He, of course, already had Speak for Yourself, but he wasn't using it that way. And he did use, there's a whole long story, but he basically used Pictello once to communicate. And we were like, oh my God, let's make more Pictellos so he can communicate more things. So then we made this I Like to Eat Pictello. And then instead of using that to like go to it, to the page to show us what he wants to eat, he used it to teach himself how to say words. And he did it really quickly. So suddenly, within a couple of weeks, he was exploding with single words of food items. And so the problem again is like he's limited, then he's only learning whatever words we happen to record in the Pictello, and he has to go through and like listen to the entire sentence. So this is a prime example where we were like, well, now he should be able to mitigate.
I like to eat mango. I like to eat mango.
So our theory, or how we're setting this up, is so that he can put together these sentence strips, and we can add obviously as many food words, and he can go to, lunch and pick more food words, to then be able to teach himself how to say these words, if he wants to. So that was sort of how this all originated. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, like I said, I did spend a lot of time trying to make sure that like body parts here, this folder body parts, should be in the exact same place as the help page with body parts. So those sort of quote unquote stage 2 folders where I'm linking to other Proloquo2Go folders, I'm trying to keep things in the same place. Or my speech therapist said, even if it can't literally be in the same place, because that's pretty hard with Proloquo2Go, at least in the same area. So, it's like nearby. And then similarly with the template, if you look at the what, where, how, who, when, why, whatever things across the top, I think when I like first opened Proloquo2Go, those spots where those buttons are changes in different templates and different pages, I think. So I made it so that all the W words don't appear on all folders because of what stage he's at. Like, I think he's just sort of getting W words, but, so I don't know why none of them appeared there, but, oh yeah, because I always have this questions folder too. So anyway, but wherever they do appear, whatever W word is there we go. So where is ongoing, which makes sense. That's a pretty logical W word to be ongoing, and it appears in the same place as it appears in other places. So I think, yeah, so those buttons don't move, I think, for most pages. Ultimately, Proloquo2Go has way too many folders, and then I just got overwhelmed. So I don't know, like holiday things, I don't think I touched that folder because I was just like, whatever, we need to just do something and then finish. And then I did do some pop-up folders like that. Or maybe Proloquo2Go already had it, but we did talk with our speech therapist about when to do pop-ups versus when to do like a separate folder. And a significant amount of these decisions, my speech therapist always says, are very specific to Alu. And so I can't remember specific things, but there are things where she's like, this isn't what I would recommend to most kids, but knowing Alu, we could do this. So just, not, this should be obvious, but like, you need to know your kid or your client or whatever. And there are things we know about, for example, his motor planning around the AAC app seems to be like, he seems to be very strong at like motor memory and motor planning and like closing things. And we think that he's going to use the recents thing a lot, the way that he uses hold that thought a lot. And so we feel pretty confident that, again, tends to be one of those kids where he's going to figure this out way faster than we're figuring it out. And he'll just show us things that we didn't even know existed. And I look forward to him using this in a completely different way than we think he's going to use it. Or maybe he won't use it at all. We'll see.